Hey Mom, it's your boy Dolphin Man with my first ever TV show review. Now, this is actually my second time filming this video because, I had this whole video made. I've spent the last few days editing and making a video that was literally just this, except for I reviewed the show literally in its entirety. All four episodes, I described exactly what happens in each and broke it down story beat by story beat. And then I realized this sucks. Like, it was gonna have to be a two-parter because it was too long. I did not like it at all, and I decided instead of just yapping endlessly about stuff nobody cares about, I'm gonna give you guys a short, concise review. Plus, I've been needing a shorter video because, man, editing the 20-minute videos stinks. Today I am reviewing Marvel Zombies, the 4-episode miniseries on Disney Plus. Now, I am not including the prequel What If episode. This is just the Marvel Zombies 4 episodes. I came into this show with low expectations. After all, these are the same people that screwed up What If. So, I didn't really have a high bar set coming into this show. And while I came out of watching it a little surprised by some of the things they did, for the most part, my expectations were about right. This show is pretty mid. As you can imagine, the plot of this show, not very complicated. It's Marvel Zombies. Zombies have taken over the world and have infected most heroes and villains. The survivors are few and far between and are mostly like C-list heroes, C-list, B-list. So all of the big names are either already infected or are just hiding out somewhere. Now, these zombies aren't completely mindless. They are ruled over by Zombie Scarlet Witch, who is like their queen, and also like they are able to form an army that is like smart and has battle tactics, which usually involves just overwhelming their enemy. But there is some hope, as our main three characters, Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, and Ironheart, have this little MacGuffin device that if they take to a transmitter, they can hopefully send a message out into space so that these alien people will come down and hopefully kill all the zombies and save the planet. So that is the basic plot of this show. Now, just a few minutes in to the first episode, I was thinking I was going to like the show, as all MCU uh, productions are. The characters are very quippy, which especially doesn't work in this setting because, like, literally all of their friends and family are zombies. Like, dude, like, everyone you know is dead. Can you please shut up? But that problem comes and goes in this series. Because usually, like, yeah, all the main characters are, like, hanging around making jokes. And then they get their butt beat and a bunch of their friends die, so then they shut up. So, at least that's nice. At least we have something. Something I do like in this show, however, is something that I also liked for most of What If, which is creative ideas. You see, like, there's this valley in the first episode that our main characters go through, and the main thing about it is that it has zombified Captain Marvel and Dollar Store Superman from Eternals fighting, and they're both way too strong, and they can actually kill each other, so they're just fighting infinitely. And whoever goes through the valley pretty much just is killed in the crossfire. That is a really cool idea. I wish there was more of that in the show, but whatever. There are other cool ideas later on in the series as well, such as our characters just going full Mad Max. There's an underwater city that they go to. There's a fort that they hide in, and they are under a siege. I mean, there's some really cool creative ideas in this series, and that's usually its bright spots. However, something else that I didn't like in this show was most of the character work. You see, like I said earlier, everybody is pretty quippy, but part of that is because most of the main characters in this show, as I said, are like B-list and C-list characters, and they tend to be comic relief from the separate movies that they're from. So when you put them all together and like 60 to 70%, and that's not a 6-7 joke, of your main cast is comic relief characters in a zombie setting, I mean, it could work, like Shaun of the Dead, but with the MCU and this project, where a lot of the time episodes can feel very tonally inconsistent, it does not work. Like, either the characters think that the zombie apocalypse is fun, or it's the worst thing ever. I mean, you have to pick one tone or the other, but you can't do both. It doesn't work. Like, characters will literally say a joke and then get eviscerated. Now, spoilers ahead here, but this is another thing that I think is interesting in this show. The deaths. Oh boy, the deaths. The deaths in this show are either the most heroic and most important thing to have ever happened, or they're super unceremonious and come out of nowhere. Like, one of our main characters, midway through the first episode, dies like this. And sometimes you can get a combo of the two in, like, rapid succession. Like, episode 3, there's a moment where Rocket Raccoon and Groot, like, 3 seconds after appearing, or less, get immediately lasered and they die just instantly. Like, just taken out. They get lasered, destroyed. And then, like, literally seconds later, Black Panther gets, like, one of the coolest deaths in the show. Like, it's so jarring. Like, it's just treated as this big moment. And to be fair, it is. But also, we just saw two storied characters that many people know and love just die like that. Like, imagine if TS had happened in Infinity War. People would come out of that movie steaming. Now, there is some good that comes along with the unceremonious deaths, because that just kind of keeps you on your toes, you know, because any character could die at any second. But at points, it just kind of gets, like, ridiculous. Like, multiple main characters suffer the unceremonious death syndrome. And then, like, random people who have been in the show for 5 seconds get ceremonious deaths just basically for fan service. Like, Thor and Black Panther get, like, super cinematic deaths. And then characters who are actually in the show, like Blade, just get lasered and die instantly. Like, it's so bizarre. Some of the deaths in this show are pretty brutal, too. Like, one character literally dies exactly like Darkwing at the end of episode 1 of Invincible. Like, he gets slammed on the ground literally the same way. It's pretty brutal. So, I mean, if you like that stuff, then this is definitely going to be a show for you. Another good thing, I guess, that the show has going for it is it has a good villain. Scarlet Witch. I personally never liked her in the MCU, or really too much in the comics. I don't think she's like this as much in the comics, but she kind of comes off as a brat. Like, I get she had, like, a bad upbringing and everything. Not because, like, her parents sucked, but, like, they died and then she was, like, experimented on. But, like, she just kind of is super powerful and she just gets and takes, like, whatever she wants and doesn't really think about other people. And makes me dislike her, but she's a villain. And so if I think she's annoying, that's, like, kind of the point. But in this show, whenever she was on screen, like, it just made me mad. Also, there's this weird part at the final battle where she doesn't, like, really do anything. It's kind of like Harry Potter in the first movie when he's, like, playing whatever role to, like, look for the snitch, and he kind of just sits there and watches instead of actually doing anything in the match. That's, like, what she does. Like, she just sits back and we get shots of her, like, reacting to the battle, but she doesn't actually, like, participate. It's kind of funny. Now, to go back to the deaths on something I didn't like, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm trying to do every other on likes and dislikes to make this video fair. But because I already talked about how there are ceremonious and unceremonious deaths, and the amount of, like, noble sacrifices in this show is kind of annoying because if people don't die unceremoniously, then it's like a big sacrifice, like I'll hold them off run. But that happens legit like twice an episode. There is a scene of a character who most of the time can very easily just escape with the other people. Like they do not need to hold them off. They're literally just doing this as like a point of pride or something. And they're like, leave me, and then they just die. It legit happens like twice an episode. I might need to go through the series and recount how many times this happens, but it happens a lot. Now, if you have a crude sense of humor like I do, and you think the characters dying unceremoniously is funny, then you should have a pretty good time with this series. Um, as you can see from these clips, I only showed a few clips of characters dying, and like that's not the only time it happens, far from. In fact, those are like some of the less brutal deaths that are very unceremonious. So yeah, if you have that crude sense of humor, you should have a pretty good time with this series. There is a twist ending, but like it's nothing special. I mean, it's just okay. I don't really have a strong opinion about that. Overall, I think the Rotten Tomatoes score is pretty accurate. This show is like a perfect C tier. I've seen some people say that this show is really bad. I mean, it's not. This isn't going to be the worst thing you've ever watched, but it's also not going to be the best thing you ever watched. Sorry, real quick, I gotta go on a little tangent here about something I forgot to mention earlier, but I already edited up to this point, so just bear with me real quick. The final battle of the series has our main characters team up with Infinity Hulk, who is just Hulk, but like he absorbed the power of the Infinity Stones when they exploded when Black Panther killed zombie Thanos. Like he absorbed the power of the Infinity Stones. And basically they have to help him fight the zombie army. And spoiler alert, they lose. They beat Infinity Hulk, which is dumb. Ever since the Loki TV show, the Infinity Stones have basically just like been a mockery, even though they're the most powerful things in the universe. In fact, if you have all six, you can literally do whatever you want. You're literally that powerful. Like there is no limit to your power. He could literally just say like no more zombies and it would cure them all. He has the power of the reality stone. He could just make them not zombies, or he could snap his fingers and they would all die. But nope, whatever. The Infinity Stones are like super weak. Nobody cares, and he just loses. So whatever. Screw me, I guess. It's not bad, but it's also not good. But I mean, it's funny sometimes at least, and not when they're joking, not on purpose. Let me know if you liked this review, and I'll be sure to do more. See ya.